Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to this episode of Reporter's Notebook. Today, I have with me Emily. Hello, Emily. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. We haven't done one of these in a while.
I know.
But I'm excited to do today's because we just finished recording a podcast, which is always exciting. We do these every Tuesday. So do you want to tell our viewers who we talked to today?
Yes. So today we were joined by a woman named Allison. She is a DC correspondent and reporter for News Nation, which is a newer network that they've started in DC. So she's helping them out there and in building that brand, building that network over in DC. So she basically talked to us about what it's like as an everyday reporter in DC, what it's like talking to lawmakers, what stories, what policy issues she's been following. And we just kind of dove into the details of that.
And full disclosure, I said this in my podcast, but I know Allison before she was the famous DC correspondent that she is now. She worked at KDFW Fox 4, which is the news station that I interned at for 3 years. So I've known her before her role now, and she is just one of the most nicest, approachable people that you can meet. As an intern, I was kind of scared about meeting reporters, especially the ones in Dallas. They're very, very top notch and known for their aggressiveness and being on the ball. And so Allison was one of those reporters that was known for being I don't want to say pushy because that's not the right word, but she was known for being a great reporter, and that can be intimidating when you're freshman in college and this is what you want to do. But she was always very nice. So I was super excited to finally have her on our podcast today and learn, just as everyone else is learning right now, or when you listen to the podcast, what she does. Emily, you had great questions. A lot of your questions, the way that you phrased them, I was like, oh, like that. Yeah, I do want to know what's so difficult, not so difficult, but what's difficult about getting how is it like to get interviews, especially when you're so new? Was there anything in particular that stood out to you from today's episode?
I think it was really interesting, I've heard this before, and it's kind of an opinion I've had myself that, Americans aren't always necessarily super interested in foreign policy issues and hearing about foreign policy exchanges and issues with other countries that we're dealing with. And Allison was making the point that, one of her hopes and her goals in reporting is trying to localize that. And that's, what all reporters' goals are, is to localize stories and bring it to the people in our community and show them, why this national issue, why this foreign issue is affecting you, why it's important to you to be following this, and what it means for you as a member of this smaller community in the grand scheme of things. And I think that was a super important, just point to be made in general, because that's what, all reporters' goal is. And, being a reporter in DC, a DC correspondent, and speaking with, lawmakers all the time, I just thought that was a great point that she made.
Yeah, and I agree with that point as well, especially as we're coming upon Christmas. I keep pushing this issue.
I know.
Global supply chain. Everything's backed up. Yep. And I believe President Biden has even made not concessions, that's not the right word, but he's made efforts, there we go, to speed up not speed up the global supply chain, because I don't think that's something that you can do, but try to get it back on track in terms of production is now at 24 hours. He's pushing some policies that are ramping up production, making sure that these facilities are working on a 24-hour basis so that we can get things back to normal. I don't know if that's even what is normal at this point. So I think it's one of my not greatest fears. I don't want to sensationalize anything, but if you go to the grocery store, there's empty shelves, and you see little placards that say, due to global supply chain issues, we're not going to have this item or product. Which, has it affected you, Emily? I mean, personally, I haven't been, besides the gas prices, but that's inflation. Have you, been missing out on anything?
I haven't yet, but my mom has already been texting in our family group chat for the past couple weeks, being like, get in your Christmas shopping now, go to the stores, start trying to find things for people for the holidays, because like they've been saying, officials have been saying, this is not going to be an easy holiday shopping year. With all the shortages, there's not going to be a lot of deals or promotions for the holiday season because the supply is so low. Prices might be inflated for holiday shopping, and there's just a low supply. So there's not going to be as many things available when that time comes. So really get that holiday shopping in even before Black Friday. Black Friday might not even really be a thing this year in the grand scheme as it's been in years past. So really get that holiday shopping. And now I've already started making my list because I want to make sure I can get everybody their Christmas list this year for the holidays. So,
and something that's been kind of, I believe one of the supplies, not supplies, but one of the products that had been kind of on the back burner in terms of not getting enough of these products is like shoes. And I think that's probably because a lot of the factories that make shoes are based in China. So if you're planning on getting your kids shoes, maybe start planning for that as well. Global supply chain, inflation,
microchip shortages.
Yeah, microchip shortages. Automobile industry is also experiencing some parts shortages.
Yeah, and that's because of the microchip too, because all of the supplies that they need to make those automobiles run, that microchip comes right in handy, and it's
in China.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So personally, besides maybe if I'm looking for, luckily I don't want to jinx myself, knock on, where's the wood?
I don't have any wood in here.
Let's just say that I haven't had to experience any of the shortages as of late, except for again, just gas prices. There was one product, a chocolate product, that they had to cancel some of their like seasonal lines, like their white chocolate or some peanut butter. It was their peanut butter chocolate because of supply chain issues. And they like made a whole post on Instagram about like their supply chain issues, saying, we're sorry to our customers, but we're getting rid of the peanut butter or whatever because of supply chain issues. And that's all. It's so short, to me, that, I mean, it's so not as important to me, but that's the only way that I've experienced it so far. Hopefully, we can get through, find solutions to some of the issues, whatever is being proposed in DC. Whether or not you agree or disagree, hopefully something can get done. And hopefully it's for the betterment of what's going on for the betterment of making sure that we have a holiday season so that we can, feel that there is some normalcy in this winter. Emily, before we go, was there anything from this podcast episode that you learned as a reporter from another reporter?
I did. I learned.
Okay, here we go.
I did. I guess I would say the way that she kind of said she was approaching interviews was interesting. And that was something that I was really interested to learn because, obviously us being on the local scale of news, the way that we, reach out to people we want to interview, the way that we secure our interviews looks a little different than how, Allison would in DC, being a DC correspondent. She's constantly talking to lawmakers, to senators, to our politicians, and she has kind of that little niche group, as she was talking about. They kind of have their own little network and their own little, what we call beats. What we do for our beat counties, as we call them in local news, is each reporter is assigned, a couple of counties in our viewing area that you kind of need to be an expert on. You need to know, what the governments in those counties are talking about, what the school districts are doing, what meetings they have coming up, et cetera, et cetera. So, Allison was explaining in DC, they kind of have those same kind of beats, but almost with like senators and what lawmakers that they talk to specifically. So she kind of has this little like niche that she can go to for her interviews, which I found super interesting to know that, you kind of have a group to go to, someone immediately to go to for that. So I thought that was really interesting, as opposed to, some days, I'm searching all over the web to try to figure out who's the best person I can talk to about this. And it's cool to know that she really has, this solid group, this solid list that she can go down and say, okay, let me talk to this person, this person, this person.
Exactly. That was also
sorry, that was a long-winded question.
I'm always rambling. So, I mean, that's what these reporters' notebooks are for, is just to kind of give a little bit more context to what we're doing throughout the day. Yeah. Emily, thank you so much for joining me on this edition of Reporter's Notebook. For anyone who is interested in catching up on old episodes, go to WNCT.com, click the Features tab, and then click the WNCT Podcast Network tab. there's a video element where you can see that online. We're also available on all podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, Pandora, wherever you listen to podcasts, we are there. So look us up. What the Politics, latest episode with Allison Harris from DC. And I hope everyone else has a wonderful week. All right, thank you.